Welcome to According to Sam, folks. This is episode 276. Thank you for tuning in. Happy Friday. I know I said that I was going to pick up from the last podcast we were talking about the H-1B visas and said it was going to get into Vivek Ramaswamy's his post on X and get more into that. I still, if I have time at the end of this podcast, still want to do that today, but we're not going to start with that today. We're going to start with the biggest story in America today, the unbelievable devastation that is happening just 2 hours north of me in Los Angeles. And I want to cover what's going on with that. I mean, this is crazy. This is coming at us so fast. 2025. You're talking in the first week of 2025, you have a terrorist attack, and on New Year's Eve, and that's this huge thing that we're dealing with. We're told ISIS attack in the United States on the first day of 2025. And then you have a major disaster 7 days later. On Wednesday night is when the winds really kicked up and when this fire started. Now, a lot of people are calling it a natural disaster. I'm not so sure this is a natural disaster. The winds are natural. The high winds, the 85 to 100 mile per hour winds were forecast 2 weeks ago. I mean, what's the mayor doing in Africa is, when the high winds are forecast, and we know what can happen if there's a fire with winds like we had on Wednesday night and on Thursday night or Tuesday night, actually. I think maybe it started on Tuesday night. Which, that's a week. That's the first week in 2025. You're dealing with a terrorist attack and a natural disaster. Again, the winds are natural. I'm not sure that the fire's natural yet. We don't know how the fires started. So anyone speculating that it's climate change or anything like that, you don't know what's going on. Yes, the winds are natural. The winds blew this thing all over Los Angeles, but we don't know how the fire started. So I'm not ready to call it natural, but we got a disaster going on and a terrorist attack in the first week of 2025. Please buckle up, people. Buckle up, because this could be a crazy year. So let's get into, I was talking about the mayor of Los Angeles. I mean, the winds, these high winds, they were forecast, like I said, weeks in advance. I mean, days in advance, at least enough time for her to cancel her trip to Ghana. What is she doing in Ghana when these winds are forecast? And everyone knows what the potential of these winds are. I mean, this was, I want to play the Joe Rogan clip now. Where's the Joe Rogan clip? This is the Joe Rogan clip that has been going viral. Everyone knows what these winds can do. She's the mayor of Los Angeles. And they also know that, they haven't, been keeping the forest, maintenance up, that there's tons of brush, everywhere. Everyone knew the potential of these winds and fires, the mixture. Again, the winds were forecast, that, they were going to have high winds in advance. She's in Africa, but listen to what Joe Rogan said in July on his show about the combination of fire and these winds. He said, just take a listen.
I talked to a fireman once. This is one of the reasons it freaked me out. And he was telling me, he goes, dude, one day, he goes, it's just going to be the right wind and fire's going to start in the right place and it's going to burn through LA all the way to the ocean. The
right wind and fire's going to start in the right place. Everyone knew the potential of this. This is Joe Rogan in 2019. And again, the winds were forecast. We knew the winds were coming. Why is she in Africa?
And fire's going to start in the right place, and it's going to burn through LA all the way to the ocean, and there's not a fucking thing we can do about it. I go, really? He goes, yeah, we just get lucky. He goes, we get lucky with the wind. He goes, but if the wind hits the wrong way, it's just going to burn straight through LA, and there's not going to be a thing we could do about it.
So the winds were forecast, and everyone knows the potential of what these winds can do with fire. We still don't know how the fire started. This is Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles. I don't know why Los Angeles. I do know why Los Angeles elected this woman. It had nothing to do with her qualifications at all. But this clip right here, this is Sky News confronting her at the airport when she comes back from Africa, and an entire upper class neighborhood in the city where she is the mayor is completely destroyed. And the Sky News reporter confronts her. I was blown away by this when I saw it for the first time. Many of you have already seen it, but let's see it again. This is insane.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget?
She's like a deer in headlights. Look at this. This is your leader. This is your leadership.
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today?
Nothing to say.
Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position?
Wow. Wow.
Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster?
Wow.
No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
She doesn't say a word. And then she just starts walking up. Look at the look on her face. Oh my gosh. People. This is your leadership? Oh my God. When we do get into Vivek Ramaswamy's post, and we're going to get into it, if we don't do it in this podcast, in the next podcast, this puts his post into a lot of, it puts it into a different perspective, and I'm going to explain it to you because, this is your leadership, people. This is your leadership. Wow. Gavin Newsom. So Gavin Newsom saw that. And then this is part of your leadership too. These people have control. The Democratic Party had total control of the legislative body, total control of the major cities, total control of the governor's mansion. Democrats have had total control of California for over a decade. Almost 20 years now. They've had total control since, I guess, the middle of Jerry Brown's second term. Total control of the state. They run everything and have run everything in this state for a long time. And Republican legislatures, Republican even voters, because we put a lot of things to referendum, the liberal agenda is always passed through referendum. The liberal agenda is always passed through the legislature. They have total control of this state. So this is another Democratic leader of the state of California. He's being confronted by this woman. Watch how he lies to her face, because he saw the way Karen Bass handled this nightmare of an interaction with the press. And these are both Sky News. I just want you to know that these are Sky News. This is Rupert Murdoch out of Australia. Sky News. They're the ones that were recording all this, because of course our news wouldn't be recording this and exposing this, because these two clips are so explosive and they went viral, exposing these two feckless leaders. But these are only two examples of this feckless leadership. But this guy, he just watched his dreams of becoming president go up in flames this week. Take a listen to this interaction.
Governor, you got a second?
No, I don't. He says, no, I don't. I don't have a second.
That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now.
I'm literally literally talking to the president right now is what he tells this lady. And then watch what she says.
To specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
Can I hear your call with the president that you're literally on the phone with right now? Can I hear your call, Governor? Because I don't believe you. What does he say?
I'm sorry. There's literally, I tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I mean, maybe he doesn't know maybe your governor of California doesn't know what the word literally means. But watch more of this. This is insane. Just feckless leadership. Take a look at this.
Why is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So
You said you were literally on the phone with him, bro.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
Why was there no water in the hydrants? This is a very, important question. We're going to answer the question here in a moment. Well, I'm going to give you their answers, your leadership's answers to why there was no water in the fire hydrants. You know, on Tuesday night when this happened, and I'm down in San Diego, and I saw online that there was fires in Los Angeles, and there's always fires in Los Angeles. Always. There's always fires in California. I mean, California, especially Southern California, is very desert like. It's a unique climate because it is a desert on an ocean. But we went through years of drought where we weren't getting any rain at all. The last 2 years have completely changed that. We're not in a drought anymore. The last 2 years we've gotten tons of rain. But anyway, so I saw online that there was a fire, and if you just see there's a fire in LA, it's no big deal. Again, there's always fires in LA. And I didn't know about the winds, but I'm down here in San Diego. I go outside and I look, and the palm trees are just, I mean, the wind is racing. So then I started to think, whoa, this fire could be different because these winds that we're experiencing, I haven't seen winds like this in a long time. So I just started putting that together, that looking outside at these winds, whoa, this fire could get out of hand. This is before it gets out of hand. And these winds blow this fire all over Los Angeles. It's really weird that it wasn't just Palisades. It was also Pasadena. So if you know how far Pasadena is from Palisades, then this stuff, it's like, again, who started it? I'm not gonna say this is natural yet because I don't know who started the fire in Palisades or the fire in Pasadena, but they were going on, and these were the 2 areas that they were fighting fires on Tuesday night. So I go inside and I start watching. I don't know what his name is. Steve Lookner. The name of his show used to be Right Side Media. I think they've changed it to No Agenda Media now. But Lookner is covering this, and he's playing the police scanner on his show. So we're listening to the police scanner. So we heard several times as we're listening to the police scanners of firefighters going into neighborhoods attempting to fight these fires, and they're saying on the police scanners, communicating with each other, that, hey, we don't have any water. We're coming up to these fire hydrants. We're putting the hose on, and there's no water coming up. And they were saying over and over again how we have to abandon these neighborhoods and let these homes burn because they didn't have water coming out of the hydrants. We heard this on the scanners, and I was like, this is crazy when I was listening to it. This is a very, very important question. You cannot, I mean, you can go back to ancient Greece, Rome. They kept, vats of water around specifically for in case there was a fire. You need water. Even in the ancient world, they knew that they need water to put out fires. I mean, we're in a modern first world American city, and you don't know that you need water to put out fires? So this is a very important question that this woman asked the governor. Governor, you're the governor of this state. Why was there no water to put out the fires?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Water's a resource, buddy. That's the resource we need.
Getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different?
Literally again, literally.
It has to be.
Literally again. That's all literally. So let's talk about the fire chief. People are making a big deal about the fire chief, the fact that she's a woman, the fact that she's a lesbian. They're calling her a DEI hire. I mean, I don't know if all that stuff is fair, but I know that her priorities were not to find out if the water was working and if we're going to be able to get water if there was a mayor. That wasn't her priority. I know that her priorities were to have a diverse fire unit there in Los Angeles. That was her priority. I know that for a fact. Now, about her being a DEI hire and the fact that she's a woman, that she's unqualified and all that, I'm not going to make that come to that conclusion or make that statement. But I do know her priorities, and I'm going to show you how I know her priorities. But let's take a listen to this. Is when Kristen Crowley was Mrs. Crowley. Kristen Crowley was made the fire chief of Los Angeles. This is an old clip. Take a listen.
We are just learning that LA City Fire Chief Ralph Terrazas will be retiring after nearly 40 years of service to the city. And just this morning, already his replacement being announced by the Mayor Eric Garcetti and Council President Nuri Martinez.
So remember Nuri Martinez. So Mayor Garcetti was the mayor before Karen Bass. And then you remember the head of the city council. Remember her? She had to step down and because the tapes were released of her in this conversation talking about the DA or Garcetti saying, F that guy, he's with the blacks. You remember Nuri? So Nuri was the head of the city council. She was in charge of hiring Kristen Crowley, along with Garcetti, is when she was made the fire chief.
Replacement being announced by the Mayor Eric Garcetti and Council President Nuri Martinez. It is Kristen Crowley has been nominated as the department's next chief, a top deputy with more than 2 decades of experience at LA City Fire.
2 decades of experience.
She is currently the acting and administrative operations chief deputy and fire marshal. If confirmed, as you mentioned, she will be the 19th fire chief and the first ever woman to lead the LAFD.
First
In
woman.
a statement just released, Crowley says, as the fire chief, if confirmed, I vow to take a strategic and balanced approach to ensure we meet the needs of the community we serve. We will focus our efforts on increasing our operational effectiveness, enhancing firefighter safety and well-being, and fully commit to fostering a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture within.
And okay, so this first part's good right here. That we're gonna, as fire chief, I confirm and vow that we take strategic and balanced approach to ensure that we meet the needs of the community we serve. Okay. Did you check the water? Did you check the water? We will focus on our efforts on increasing our operational effectiveness, is what she said. But then this part, do we really need this part? Enhancing firefighter safety, fully commit to fostering diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture within the LA Fire Department. I don't care. I don't need a diverse fire department. I don't care about a diverse fire department. Why do I need a diverse fire department? I want the fire department to be have the same structure as the military. You don't have a diverse military. Everybody wears the same uniform. Everybody is the same. We are army of one. That's what they say. The army of one. That's what I need from my fire department. I need an army of one. I don't need a diverse fire department. And this diversity is Kristen Crowley's. That was her priority. That was her focus. And how do I know that? How do I know that? Because this is her in her own words. This clip has been going viral. Take a listen to Kristen Crowley.
I'm super inspired.
She took time out of her already busy schedule to tell us about her vision for the department's future.
Her vision for the department's future.
Vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
Diversity.
What number are you looking for? So I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now.
Why do I care about that? Why do I care about that? Why do I care that there's only 100 or so women out of 300 firefighters? Why do I care about that? You care about that? The people in Malibu, boo. You care about how many women are on the force? Do you really? People in Palisade, no one's there anymore because all the homes are destroyed. The whole neighborhood is destroyed. You care about how many women are on the police force? That's interesting. I don't know why. Man, if that's your priority, of course you're not checking on the water and making sure the water will work, and that you're going to have, and that your police force, no matter if they're men or women, are going to have access to water when they go out and try to fight a fire, prevent your city from burning. I mean, if that's more of a priority. I care more about that than I do how many women are on the force.
What number are you looking for? So I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now.
3,300, 115 are women. We need more women. Why do we need more women? Listen.
She's already looking at ways to change that.
We need more
She's
women.
quick to point out that doing so has a greater purpose, attracting the best and brightest for the job.
The best and the brightest. So women are the best and the brightest. That would just lead you to believe that that's what they're saying. Best and the brightest, people. And I want you to take note of that phrase only. Best and the brightest. That's going to be the title of today's podcast. The best and the brightest. Because when we get back into talking about the H-1B visas and get into Vivek Ramaswamy's tweet, then you're going to see that that's a phrase that's used about the H-1B visa recipients that are coming over from India as well, that they're the best and the brightest. So the women, we need women in the fire department because they're the best and the brightest, because the fire department is not diverse enough. So we need the best and the brightest. So we need more women. And they're using the same argument that we need more Indians specifically, because nearly 3/4 of the recipients of H-1B visas are Indians. So we need Indians because they're the best and the brightest. So take note of that phrase. And today's podcast is going to be titled "The Best and the Brightest." So we have a fire department force of 3,300 firefighters. Only 100 or so are women. We need more women. And Mrs. Crowley, this is her vision for the force, is to change that. Okay. So take note of that.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's already looking at ways to change that. She's quick to point out that doing so has a greater purpose, attracting the best and brightest for the job.
They feel included, they feel valued, and they feel part of a cohesive team.
Wow. It's no wonder your city's burnt. It's no wonder your city burnt down. But I don't want to be too hard on Kristen Crowley, because it's not her job specifically to make sure that there's water and when her firefighters go out to do their job to protect people's homes, to protect people's business, and they hook up the hose to the fire hydrant and no water comes out. Yeah, she should have checked on it. She should have made sure that her guys and that her team was going to have water, but it wasn't her job specifically to make sure that there was water coming out of the fire hydrants. And I don't want to be too hard on Kristen Crowley. You just heard that she had 2 decades of experience before she was made the fire chief. She is also here. Let me show you this part. I don't think I showed you this part, because this is also part of, she's also the first lesbian. So that was also celebrated. Not only the first woman fire chief, but also the first lesbian. Round of applause, everyone. That first lesbian.
Community Grand Marshal Kristen Crowley, the LA Fire Chief, and she right there is with Sophie Flay. Hey, Sophie.
Hey guys, yeah, check out my new ride. But more importantly, I'm with the Community Grand Marshal, the first openly gay person to lead the LAFD and the first woman. How does it feel?
How does it feel? How does it feel? How does it feel? First woman, first. So gotta get that diversity, and then and we're gonna bring in the best and the brightest too, the best and the brightest. And then when she is, and when they're talking about the best and the brightest, and she's going to bring in more women into the police force. It's going to be more women. It's going to be, more lesbian women, obviously. And this is one of the lieutenants under the command of Kristen Crowley, a lesbian woman. This clip has gone viral of her. Take a listen.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you.
No, I don't care. I don't care if they look like me. No. You want to see someone that responds to your call, whether it's fire, medical situation that looks like you. No, I don't. I don't care if they look like me. I care if they're going to put out my house if it's on fire. I care if they know CPR. I care if they are competent, or if they're going to be able to do the job. Again, I don't want to blame these guys because they were probably doing their job. And I'm not saying that she wasn't competent. They probably went to the fire hydrants and the fire hydrants didn't have any water. They did the best that they can do. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that I don't care. It's not a focus of mine when you're talking about first responders, when you're talking about jobs like police and like the fire department. No, I don't care if you look like me. I'm sorry, lady. That's not a priority of mine.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is.
So this is the fire department, LA Fire Department. This is what y'all got. Again, I don't blame these people in the fire department so much because, they're only responsible for what they're responsible for. Again, they should have checked to make sure that the water was going to be available to them to do their jobs. But a lot of this is on the leadership, and the leadership that was in Africa, Karen Bass, the feckless leadership, and the leadership that is in Sacramento, this feckless leadership. A lot of this is on them. And Karen Crowley, or Kristen Crowley, the chief of the fire department there, she actually sent a memo to the mayor and to Karen Bass, warning her just last month that the budget cuts that Karen Bass and the city council had implemented on the fire department, that was going to have an impact on their ability to do their job. LA Fire Chief Kristen Crowley warned Mayor Bass last month that 17 plus million she cut from the department's budget severely limited the department's capacity to prepare, train for, and respond to large scale emergencies, including wildfires. wildfires. So she put this memo out last month and sent it to the mayor. Again, the winds were forecast. Why would the mayor, especially after getting a memo like this? I mean, what are you doing in Africa? A lot of people are pointing out and saying, well, she didn't really cut the budget. They didn't cut the budget. And this speaks to the future budget. So this wasn't the budget that the fire department is actually working on now during this crisis. This is she was referring to next year's budget is what people are saying, and people are defending Karen Bass after this and saying that she didn't cut the budget. This is one of those defenders. This clip went viral. This is a black activist. Her name is Reese or something like that. And the only thing that she cares about is people are attacking the black mayor, black woman. And people are saying that the black woman cut the budget for the fire department and I got to protect the black woman. They're trying to blame the black woman for what happened with these Palisades and the fires in Los Angeles. Well, the black woman is responsible. The black woman couldn't even answer questions when she was asked about them. The black woman was in Africa. The black woman is the mayor, and her fire department didn't even have water when they went to the fire hydrants to put out the fire. The black woman is responsible, but take a listen to what Reese says here.
We are not going to have Operation Blame the Black Woman, Mayor Karen Bass, for the fact that the Los Angeles fires are not contained on my watch. The right wing never lets a good crisis go to waste, so of course they're using this as an opportunity to cast aspersions on Mayor Karen Bass and throw DI in there while they're at it. But the reality is that the fires are not contained because of catastrophic drought conditions coupled with hurricane force winds. The fact that they're trying to make this a narrative about the Los Angeles Fire Department budget actually does more to impugn the work of the first responders than it does of Karen Bass. Even though it's nothing more than a distraction, I know how people get when they want to hold on to something and run with it. So I actually have 2 decades of experience in developing budgets, analyzing budgets, and doing expenditure variance analysis. $17 million is 2% of the Los Angeles Fire Department budget. A budget is a measuring stick.
All right, so we don't have to listen to all that. The way she goes down and breaks down what everybody else don't know about the budget and how budgets work and all this stuff. Yeah, we don't need to listen to all of that. We'll listen to Kristen Crowley, the chief of LA Fire Department, in her own words. Take a listen, Reese.
I must ask you, because a lot of people are talking about the warning that you sent last month that the budget cuts have, quote, severely limited the department's capacity to prepare for, train for, and respond to large-scale emergencies, including wildfires. You sent that warning about these budget cuts. Was this preventable?
I tell you, from the budget cut side of things, when there's a $17 million cut in our budget, operating costs, immediately from that point, I had to make some tough decisions. I looked at some other duties and responsibilities that we do as a fire department and had to focus right back on the training of our firefighters and also our ability to respond to the everyday fires and EMS response.
Would that $17 million that had been cut from your budget have made a difference in this fight?
I would say with the lean forward posture that we took, knowing that a $17 million cut we had to take from somewhere, and that was from the non-essential duties and responsibilities that as a fire department we have taken on over the past many, many years.
But with all due respect, in December you had warned that the budget cuts would severely limit your ability to respond to large-scale emergencies. Is that true or not?
Yes, so I would say yes, we were limited to a certain factor, yes.
Wow. I mean, you can say what you want. She just said that, yes, the budget cuts that Karen Bass implemented limited our ability to do our job. I mean, Reese, you can come and argue with her, the chief of LA Fire Department, because she said, yes, the budget cuts did impact our ability to do our job. This is another clip of the feckless Governor Newsom He's asked again by Anderson Cooper about the water. Watch what he says.
What is the situation with the water? Obviously, in Palisades, ran out last night in the hydrants. I was trying the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when
the local folks have got it. This guy's the governor of the entire state. This is his most populous city in his state. The city of Los Angeles, the county of Los Angeles is the heart of this state. And he's the governor. He said the local people got to figure it out. That's what he said.
What is the situation with the water? Obviously, in Palisades, ran out last night in the hydrants. I was trying the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system that's not dissimilar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system. I mean, those hydrants are typical for 2 or 3 fires, maybe 1 fire. You have something at this scale, but again, that's going to be determined by the local.
Yeah, but that should have been determined before you have a fire and a situation of this scale. There should have been some type of test, some type of monitoring that you do, or you guys love computer models, maybe do a computer model or something to see what will happen in this situation. Will these pipes hold up? Will these pumps hold up? Will these system, the container systems that we have, the tanks that we're keeping the water in, will they hold up in a situation like this? There was no preparation for that, and you're saying that the local people got to figure that out? And you're the governor? Wow. This was Donald Trump when he did the Joe Rogan show just a few months ago before the election. He criticized all of this stuff. He foresaw it. Take a listen.
They said, we have no water. I said, do you have a drought? No, we don't have a drought. I said, why don't you have no water? Because the water isn't allowed to flow down. It's got a natural flow from Canada all the way up north of water, more water than they could ever use. And in order to protect a tiny little fish,
Delta smelt,
the water up north gets routed into the Pacific Ocean.
This has been a problem. This has been a problem for decades. They've been protecting the Delta smelt. It wasn't a issue for fires. It was an issue for farming irrigation, largely, when this was, 2 decades ago, farmers were complaining about the fact that that this water was being just drained off into the ocean, and that they weren't building reservoirs. They weren't allowing the farmers to use the water for farming and for irrigation, and people were complaining about that for a long time. Now, you see that not creating those reservoirs and keeping that water is also, in addition to it not being used for farming and irrigation, it's also not available to us to use when you have major fires in a situation like this. And this is what Trump is talking about. He's absolutely correct.
More water than they could ever use. And in order to protect a tiny little fish, the water up north gets routed into the Pacific Ocean. Millions and millions of gallons of water gets poured.
He's right.
I could have water for all of that land, water for your forests. Your forests are dry as a bone.
Yeah.
Okay?
Dangerous.
That water could be routed. You could have everything. Oh, not only dangerous, billions of dollars a year they spend on forest fires. And, there's a case with the environment. They're not allowed to rake their forests because you're not allowed to touch it. And all they have to do is clean their forest, meaning rake it up, get rid of the leaves, get rid of, leaves that are sitting there for 5 years.
Maintenance. The forestry maintenance that isn't done because it all has to be natural, okay? So it can burn people's houses down. We actually voted in 2014 here in California to authorize funds so this clown could build more reservoirs, and so we can capture more water and use it for all kinds of things. Fresh water from the snow runoff, Northern California. We've had in the past 2 years, again, record rain. None of that water is being captured because this clown hasn't built any of the reservoirs that we approved, because his focus is other things. His focus was, making California safe for people to come and have abortions, and to secure California from Donald Trump coming in and deporting all the illegal aliens that he let in, and making California more diverse. These are his priorities. His priorities are not to care for the people of California. They have destroyed this state. I have watched them with my own eyes destroy this state. That's why people have fled to other areas of the country from this state in mass over the last 2 decades. He, Jerry Brown, Pelosi, the Gettys, Adam Schiff, these people have destroyed, and others. I'm like, those are just small. These people are just a small. Again, the Democrats have total control of this state, and they've had total control of the state for a while. And what you're seeing now in LA is just a large example. There are many small examples. And again, we don't know, how this fire started, but we have a huge homeless population. A lot of people are saying that, this didn't happen the last time this did happen. We did learn that the fire started in a homeless camp because, homeless are starting fires to keep warm at night. And to cook their food and stuff. And they're in the middle of the brush, and wind blows it, and the fire starts or something. I mean, so again, we don't know how the fire started. We know that the winds were of such that no matter how it started, this fire spread because of the winds. Anyway, we had no water, no water to put it out. The person who is most responsible for the water and making sure that there was water in the tanks and that there was water available for the fire department when they went to hook up their hoses to the fire hydrants is this woman. And Quinones is her name. Janice Quinones. Janice Quinones, the general manager of the DWP, I think that's Department of Water and Power. I'm not sure what it is, but when she became the head of this department, they raised her salary to $750,000 a year is what this woman makes. This is the woman who is responsible. It's her job to make sure that the water was available to the fire department. She is most responsible. I mean, there are many people are responsible. The fire department, Kristen Crowley, she should have checked on this and made sure that in this case that they were going to have water available to him. The mayor should have checked on this. The city council and other leaders should have checked to make sure that this woman was doing her job. I mean, you don't just give this woman $750,000 a year and just trust that she's doing her job. There should be some type of redundancy or someone should be making sure that this woman is doing her job. All the way up to Sacramento, someone should be making sure that this woman is doing her job. $750,000 is what she makes a year, and it is her responsibility to make sure that there's water.
Well, an eye-popping salary for the new head of the LA Department of Water and Power, Janice Quinones, will be paid an annual salary of $750,000. That's a sharp increase from her predecessor's salary, which was $435,000.
So her predecessor was getting $435,000. She gets the job, Mrs. Quinones, and they up her salary $300,000. It is her job to make sure that there's water for the fire department. She is most responsible. This is crazy.
Of the LA Department of Water and Power, Janice Quinones will be paid an annual salary of $750,000. That's a sharp increase from her predecessor's salary, which was $435,000. This makes Quinones the highest paid LA city official, even higher than LA Mayor Karen Bass.
Highest paid official. Highest paid official, Quinones, $750,000 a year. It is her job to make sure that there's water for the fire department to put out people's homes. This is Quinones in her own words. Why was there no water, Quinones?
We ran out of water in the first tank about 4:45 p.m. yesterday. We ran out of water in the second tank about 8:30 p.m. and the third tank about 3 a.m. this morning. Those tanks help with the pressure on the fire hydrants and the hills of Palisades. And because we were pushing so much water in our trunk line, and so much water was being used before it can get to the tanks, we were not able to fill the tanks fast enough. So the consumption of water was faster than we can provide water in our trunk line. So I want to make sure that you understand there's water on the trunk line. It just cannot get up the hill because we cannot fill the tanks fast enough.
You make $750,000 a year, lady. Why didn't you check on that before the fire to make sure that we were going to have the water fill up the tanks fast enough? Or if we need bigger tanks, then we got to get bigger tanks, whatever is needed. It's your job to make sure. Why don't you do that? Is this the best and the brightest right here? Is this the best and the brightest is what you're telling me? This was just a year ago, people. A year ago. Not even a year ago. 11 months. This was in February of last year. Same area of Los Angeles. And not dealing with fire a year ago, but dealing with record rain. Like I said, the last 2 years, we've gotten so much rain. If we would have had reservoirs, if we were able to capture that rain, then there would be tons of water for fires, for irrigation, for everything that we need. But our feckless governor has not built the reservoirs. He hasn't done anything to capture this water. He hasn't done anything to capture the runoff. But I just want you to hear what was going on in the same area of Los Angeles just a year ago, just 11 months ago.
Back windows. The storm flooding streets and causing devastating mudslides, threatening property and lives. From the Hollywood Hills,
this landslide went through the back of their house, through their garage, pushed all the way down to the street,
to Beverly Hills, where mud practically swallowed this entire SUV. Drone footage showing severe damage to homes in Encino, this one nearly falling off the cliff. First responders carrying out swiftwater rescues to save people and pets. Some families forced to evacuate on foot.
This has never happened.
And you
Never
can see
happened.
The power of this water here. It looks like the contents of someone's garage got swept away. We've seen electronics, a cooler, furniture, and then these massive boulders.
So I can show you tons of clips of the effects of that rain. And again, the past 2 years, we've gotten rain like that, record rain. Like we were in a drought for a long time. And then we've gotten so much rain in the last 2 years that we're not in a drought anymore. They lifted the drought warnings. So tons of rain, just no ability to capture that rain, no reservoirs built. And everyone is saying now that climate change is responsible for this. We don't know how the fire started. Governor hasn't built any reservoirs. There hasn't been any forest maintenance. But they look at events like the rain that we had last year and say, oh, this record rain, it's never happened before. No, it was a drought, it rains, these are just natural patterns. But now the fires, this is climate change because of the winds. And then, so some people were saying that, these fires were strange and that they could be the acts of arsonists. There were many fires in many different places, and some of them could have been, I guess, natural occurrences. Maybe someone driving down the street throws a cigarette butt out the window or whatever. It starts, burns down the entire Palisades. I mean, if you want to believe that. Who knows how the fires started, especially with the winds the way that they were. I mean, what do you think started the fire? Anyway, some people were saying that could be arsonists. I speculate that it could be arsonists. I said that on the night that the Hollywood Hills That was on Thursday night. Or on Wednesday night. This was after Tuesday, and then Wednesday. Everything's, being, everything's being surveyed. People are still fighting fires in certain areas, but it was had calmed down that day. I mean, the Palisades were and parts of Malibu were completely destroyed during the day on Wednesday. And then just as sun sets, they're calling it the sunset fire. Just as the sun goes down, then you start seeing this fire that just starts, springing up in another location in the Hollywood Hills. And people were saying, well, those are the embers blowing over from Malibu Palisade all the way over to the Hollywood Hills. The winds are so high that these are the embers blowing. So, I guess you can believe that. But some people were speculating that there was arson going on. And there was arson going on. There was at least one arsonist that was caught last night. And he was up in the Calabasas area. This is the Kenneth fire. And I want you to listen to this clip about this arsonist. And we saw other clips of people throughout the city setting fires, making things more difficult for the firefighters, dumpster fires. We saw other clips of fires being set throughout the city. So I just wanted to play this clip to show that there definitely was arson. I don't know how much of it was arson, but I know for a fact that there was arson because this guy was an arsonist that was setting fire in the Calabasas area.
Also, police have a man in custody tonight. They have determined that the Kenneth fire was deliberately set. Listen to the LAPD.
What we know right now is that the incident started here, and about 30 minutes later, a suspect was detained over in Woodland Hills area by citizens.
So someone purposely set the Kenneth fire?
At this time, that's what we believe, yeah.
Did you check his ID? Was his name Climate Change? Was his name Climate Change, the arsonist who set the Kenneth fire? And if there's one arsonist, why couldn't there be a second arsonist? I mean, we have video. I've shown, I haven't shown you, but I've seen the video. I have time to show you the video of other fires being set by random people throughout Los Angeles. The fact that there could be arson is, I don't understand why people would, why it's got to be a conspiracy theory. All right, so we're about done. We're not going to get into Vivek Ramaswamy's post today, but I want to talk a little bit about it and pick up a little bit on where we left off in the last podcast, because we were talking about the concept of America First that Donald Trump said in his first inaugural address that from this day forward, that it's going to be America First. This is Trump's agenda, America First. And we're talking about that in the last podcast. And I mentioned this post from Vivek Ramaswamy and the fact that Vivek Ramaswamy says in the midst of this debate about H-1B visas that America First means America in first place. And I was saying, well, in first place of what? I mean, what's the match, the race, the game that we're playing that America needs to be in first place of? And then I started to think, the word first can have different meanings. America First could mean America in first place, although I don't know what first we would be in first place of and what you're talking about as far as first place. Or first could mean priority. First in priority. That America First means that we're going to prioritize Americans and American workers and the interests of Americans and American workers and the people of America. Now, that's what I always believed America First was and what America First meant. That not that we're going to be in first place in the world and that there's a competition and we're competing with, other world powers and that we're going to be in first place. We get to hold up the trophy. We're in first place. No, I always believe that that America first means that we're going to prioritize Americans, that the interests of America are going to be first and not the interests of the rest of the world. In the midst of one of America's largest and most historical cities, in the midst of a very affluent neighborhood in that city burning down and many other areas of that city burning down and dealing with this tragedy, the United States has agreed to, just as Joe Biden is leaving, send another $500 million to Ukraine. $500 million. Now, they're speculating that this LA fire could cost up to $150 billion, maybe more. And Joe Biden, on his way out, has committed to the federal government paying all of that. That's what he said the other day, that the federal government is going to pick up the entire cost of what happened in Los Angeles. Now, we still have people that were victims of flooding because of the hurricane just a few months ago in northern Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. Their neighborhoods, their homes were destroyed. So federal government's gonna, have to take care of those people too. And is it America first for us being nearly $37 trillion in debt right now to be sending $500 million? I mean, if you total everything that we've already sent to Ukraine, over $200 billion. Is this America first right here? Sending this money to Ukraine, especially when you're having major cities and areas of your country dealing with disasters like this. This makes no sense to me. But this one right here, this really set me off, set off a lot of people when we learned that Los Angeles and other cities in California, they sent firefighting equipment to Ukraine. Is this America first? We're dealing with fire disasters in California, and these feckless leaders are not only, not making sure that we have water and that in a situation like this that we're going to be able to fight these fires. They're sending firefighting equipment to Ukraine. Fact check. Did California donate firefighting equipment to Ukraine? I'm not going to read the whole article to you, but we'll just come down to their ruling. True. A number of fire departments in California did donate firefighting supplies to be sent to Ukraine in 2002. The state has also sent medical supplies, protective gear to help first responders in Ukraine. So, yeah, I'm all for helping other people. We need to end this war in Ukraine, first of all. This war in Ukraine is stupid. But is this America first? I mean, it doesn't matter how you define first. If you define it in being in first place, or you define it first as a priority, that this is not America first. This doesn't help us be in first place or prioritize Americans. It's not American first. Vivek Ramaswamy used to understand what America first meant as far as a priority, though. And this is back in August. And this is what Vivek Ramaswamy said back in August as far as America first.
Two basic principles. The people we elect to run the government, not unelected bureaucrats. And they owe their duty to you, not to anybody else.
They owe their duty to you and not to anyone else. And then he's the one who put this out. He posted this. Here's what America first means. The people we elect to run the government actually run the government, okay? But then two, just like he says, they owe their sole duty to the citizens of our nations, not any other nation. Now, and that doesn't matter. You're talking about taking care of Ukraine, bringing in workers, the best and the brightest from India. That America first means America first, that the interests of Americans are a priority. The interests of American workers are a priority. The interests of the people that are still rebuilding in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia because of the hurricane that we just had, they're a priority. That's America first. The people in California now dealing with these wildfires, they're a priority. That's American first. We need to take care of them first. Before we take care of Ukraine, I'm sorry what's going on in Ukraine. I'm sorry what's going on in Gaza, in Israel. I'm sorry what's going on all over the world. Yeah, so it's a rough world out there, but we need to take care of America. That's America first. That's the America first that I bought into when I joined the MAGA movement. That's the American first that Trump sold me. So we'll get back into this in the next podcast. Like I said, I knew I wasn't going to be able to get to Ramaswamy's tweet. I can't wait to do that. We'll do that on Monday. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and then I'll see you guys on Monday.